winds echoed across the endless steppe, a symphony of survival played for a world that knew only harshness. Here, under the vast, unpitying sky, a child was born. His name was Temujin. He was alone, an orphan cast out by his own clan, yet destiny walked beside him, a silent, powerful companion. The frozen plains were his cradle and his crucible, each gust of wind carving resilience into his young soul. This unforgiving land taught him a brutal lesson early on. To survive is to struggle, and to struggle is to grow stronger. He learned to read the whispers of the wind, to understand the language of the snow, and to hunt with a focus that belied his years. The steppe was vast and empty, but in its solitude, Temujin found not despair, but a quiet, burning purpose. He was a child of the steppe, forged in its icy breath, and the world would soon feel the fire he carried within. One night, beneath a sky studded with 1,000,000 frozen stars, the young warrior knelt by a flickering campfire. The flames danced in his eyes, reflecting a resolve that burned brighter than any earthly fire. He was no longer just a boy. He was a survivor, a leader in the making. The pack had been scattered, his family torn apart, but his spirit remained unbroken. The pack may scatter, he vowed to the silent moon, his voice steady against the howling wind, but the lone wolf still hunts. It was more than a promise. It was an oath etched into the very fabric of his being. He swore to unite the scattered, warring tribes, to forge a nation from the disparate clans, to bring the entire world beneath one sky, the eternal blue sky of his ancestors. The shadow moved in the distance, a wolf silhouette against the glowing horizon, a silent witness to the birth of a legend. The drums of fate began their slow, inexorable beat. Years bled into one another, each season tempering Temujin like steel in a master's forge. The boy who was once an outcast became a chieftain, a uniter, a force of nature. Temujin was no longer just a name whispered in the ears of the steppe. It became a storm gathering on the horizon. He was now Genghis Khan, the great Khan, the hand of heavens will made manifest on earth. His ambition was as boundless as the sky itself. Standing before his legions, a sea of warriors ready to follow him to the ends of the earth, his voice thundered with divine conviction. If the world is the sky, he declared, his gaze sweeping across the banners that snapped in the wind, then I am its storm. Lightning split the heavens, a divine affirmation of his claim. The storm was no longer gathering, it had been unleashed. The great storm of the Mongols swept eastward. The Great Wall of China, a barrier that had stood for centuries, proved to be no obstacle for his ambition. His horde poured through, a relentless tide of iron and fury. Cities that had stood for 1,000 years fell in a matter of weeks. The storm then turned west, consuming the Silk Road, conquering the wealthy cities of Turkestan, and crashing against the gates of Persia. Every battle was a testament to his unmatched genius, every victory burning brighter than the last, a terrifying beacon of his power. A general, his face etched with awe, rode to his side, pointing to the endless sea of soldiers. My Khan, the army stretches to the horizon. But Genghis Khan's eyes were fixed on something far beyond the visible world. He looked past the line where earth met sky, his voice a low rumble of infinite desire. The horizon, he said, is not my limit. His empire became the largest the world had ever known, a sprawling dominion stretching from the Pacific Ocean to the heart of Europe. He had united the tribes, conquered continents, and rewritten the map of the world. Yet, with every conquest, a scar was left not only on the land, but on his own soul. Genghis Khan, ruler of the known world, master of millions, found that the one thing he could not conquer was the turmoil within his own heart. Standing alone on a high cliff at sunset, he watched smoke rise from distant cities, pyres of his own making. The vast mountains stood in silent judgment, their peaks serene and eternal. The mountains are silent, he whispered to the wind, his voice laced with a profound and weary sadness. Yet my heart is still at war. The silence that answered was the only peace he would ever know. The price of his fire was a world at his feet and an endless war in his spirit. In the end, even the storm must pass. As his final moments approached, the Khan of Kings, the scourge of God, lay not in a conquered palace, but in a simple tent, the sounds of the steppe his final lullaby. His gaze turned upward, past the felt walls of his yurt, to the infinite expanse of the heavens, the home of Tengri, the sky god he had served his entire life. For he was not just a man, not just a conqueror. He was the son of Tengri, an instrument of a will for greater than his own. His physical form was failing, but his spirit was preparing for its final journey. A faint smile touched his lips. With his last breath, he spoke not of empire or of battle, but of eternity. The sky is eternal, he whispered, and so am I. His essence dissolved into the wind, ascending to join the stars, becoming one with the eternal blue sky he had sought to unite the world beneath. Thank you for watching this journey into the heart of the Great Khan. If you were moved by this story, please like, share, and subscribe to Tengri Productions for more epic tales from history. We'll see you in the next one.